Hey, hey, hey. It's Food and Philosophy, episode number 24. My main man, Khalil Gibran. But as always, first, the food comes first in Food and Philosophy. This episode, extra special, brought to you by Weedmaps. I've got the THC Sandwich Collaboration. Thanks so much, guys, for a great collab. This sandwich is the T is turkey, H honey, dirty sauce, and the C is Cheetos, Flamin Hot style. And this also has cheddar cheese on it. This one is just for 420 and through May. So get it now. It is the honey and the dirty sauce mix so great together. And it helps to offset the spiciness of the hot Cheetos. If you can handle hot Cheetos, I highly recommend this sandwich. One bad review for Ike's. They give me a lollipop, but they didn't give me any napkins. I'm already not supposed to be eating in the studio, and now I had to go snag some towels. We're not even working on a Folsom, California location at this time, nor Torrance. Sorry, my friends. All right. I got it as is with the onion pickles only. I'm going to get into my X talk, but I've decided because I'm getting a lot of comments about locations right now that I don't have instead of the locations that I do have. So I'm going to pivot a little bit and talk about every single day, multiple people say, hey, Ike, put a location here or put a location there. Usually it's like, hey, come to Seattle. We don't have an Ike's even within a state of you. Or Portland or Texas, say like Dallas. I get a lot of people asking Dallas, New York, Brooklyn specifically, other places, lots of places that are nowhere near an Ike's. But then I get a whole bunch of people that are like, open up, and I'm going to use these as examples, not calling y'all out over here in the feed. Torrance, Folsom, other areas that people ask for, like, when are you going to open here? Like Inland Empire in Southern California or Temecula, things like that. And also with you. I'm a firm believer. When we had one Ike's, we had 3-hour waits, and people would travel from all over the United States, not just all over the United States, from all over the world. We'd have people visiting from Italy and Australia. When I was in London, people recognized me because Ike's was famous more internationally in the beginning than it was locally. And I'm a firm believer in same with saving your money, and I'll get to that in a second, which is where we'll segue into the philosophy part, is that if you're anywhere within 3-hour drive of Ike's and you don't eat there, you're not going to eat there when it's 15 minutes away from you or 10 minutes away from you. You're not. Guaranteed. Like, unless it's literally in the building that you live in, my location, proximity to you, is not going to make or break whether you eat there or not. and maybe 3 hours is a little generous. Fine. If you're within 1 hour and 90 minutes, or 1 hour 90 minutes, if you're within an hour and a half of an Ike's and you don't eat there regularly, like once a month or once every 2 weeks, you're not gonna all of a sudden start going there once a month because I'm 15 minutes from you. It's not going to happen. Look at what your life demonstrates. I travel the world for food. I eat at a restaurant in New Orleans 4 times a year, and I have to take a 5.5-hour flight to eat there because it's a high priority for me to eat there, and amongst other restaurants that I drive 3 hours to go or get on a plane to go eat or put it in my calendar, I'm gonna go eat here on those days. If you're not doing that with Ike's, and I'm not saying you should, but if you're not, don't tell me you're going to eat there when I'm in Torrance or when I'm in Temecula or when I'm in Folsom or whatever. You're not going to eat there. Maybe you'll eat there one extra time the whole year, maybe twice, but you're not going to all of a sudden start showing up once a month unless you already eat there once a month. Your life demonstrates what's important to you. If you don't eat at Ike's right now, you're not going to eat at Ike's in the future. Warren Buffett said, if you don't save your money today, you're not all of a sudden going to become rich and then start saving your money. No, you need to save your money when it's difficult for you to save your money, and then you'll save your money when you have money and it's easy. If it's difficult for you to eat at Ike's or wherever to go visit friends, it's not just about Ike's. It's not just about money. If you don't make a priority to see your friends or your family, then you're not all of a sudden going to be like, oh, I live across the street from my mom. I'm going to go see my mom more often. If you don't do it now, you're not going to do it all of a sudden when it becomes easier, because we already move towards what we want without regard for if it's easy or not. Look at your whole life from you were born till now. What have been and while things may have changed in priorities for you as you've gone through, like when you're a kid, way different than when you're going through puberty, way different than when you're in college or more things, and then as you grow older and older and older, your priorities may change, but regardless, whatever your priorities are, you make time for, even when it's hard. In fact, it's arguable that's not even hard for you to make things a priority because you made them a priority, and so it doesn't it's not the perception of it is it's not difficult. You're just doing what you need to do because it's a priority for you. So that's my internet talk for today. Eat at Ike's today, or don't tell me that you're gonna eat at Ike's. Probably even if you're in Seattle, fly your ass to a location. I fly to New Orleans 4 times a year to eat at a restaurant. I fly to Texas to eat at a restaurant. I make an effort to. I even do a layover from when I'm on the eastern part of the United States, and I fly to Texas, and I hang out with my brother. He lives there too, and then I take him out to dinner at the same freaking restaurant every single time. Why? Because it's a priority for me to do that. If that restaurant was 15 minutes from me, yeah, maybe I'd eat there once or twice more a year, not a month. So don't give me that. There's an Ike's an hour and a half from you. Get your ass in a car, make it an event. How do I know? The first Ike's, we'd have 3-hour waits, and people from Australia would come and eat there. So what? They're better than you? No. Anyway, that's my X talk. Make it a priority, and it's easy all of a sudden. And that goes for anything in your life. So stop asking me to open up an Ike's by you, unless I see on your feed that you're eating there almost every day already. I'm not even gonna. It's not even about respect. I'm just gonna think that you're not gonna eat there. You're gonna say you're gonna eat there, but you're not. Because I only want to open up in cities that I want to visit, not where you live. Unless you live somewhere where I want to visit. Winky face. All right. Back to well, although that was philosophy. Let's take. Oh, see, somebody's asking about. I'm going to talk with my mouth full because that's what this podcast is about. Somebody's asking about the Ike's in San Marcos, Texas, by Texas State University. It's right by campus. Nobody freaking ate there, so it went out of business. I get asked about this one a lot. People are like, oh, I want to eat there. I'm like, you didn't eat there. That's why we closed. This is a direct point to what I was saying. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes from you. If you only eat there, you're not going to eat there more because I'm closer. So I'm sorry. I really didn't want to close that location, but literally was the worst store that we had in the history of Ike's. Like, we've never had a worse location right by a university. So don't tell me if I'm close to you, you're going to eat there, because you didn't. So I'm sorry. I don't like closing locations. Obviously, COVID happened too, but still, Texas was a pretty free state when it came to COVID. That one didn't close because of COVID. It closed because your ass didn't eat there. And it's okay. I'm not mad about it, but just don't tell me to reopen there, because you're not going to eat there that time either. And I love you. Thank you for the support. You have 6 Texas locations or Austin area locations. Go eat there. And if you don't, then you wouldn't eat there enough if I opened up in San Marcos again. So I'm sorry. I love you. Thanks for eating the Madison Bumgarner. I love you. It's my favorite one too. All right. See what the timing we got. We got plenty of time. Dude, this sandwich is so good. I just want to eat this and not talk. Last we left off. Then said a teacher, speak to us of teaching. And he said, no man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and his lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. What's up, Shehadeh? The astronomer may speak to you of his understanding of space, but he cannot give you his understanding. The musician may sing to you of the rhythm, which is in all space, but he cannot give you the ear which arrests the rhythm, nor the voice that echoes it. And he who is versed in the science of numbers can tell of the regions of weight and measure, but he cannot conduct you thither. For the vision of one man leads not its wings to another man. And even as each one of you stands alone in God's knowledge, so must each one of you be alone in his knowledge of God and in his understanding of the earth and the universe and Mother Nature. Speak to us of teaching. This verse, this part of the book, reminds me of when I first started getting into personal development. And I was around a lot of wise people and people that I put on a pedestal above me, knowledge and skill and other things, specifically in regards to like how the universe works, but also in financial, in physical body. Whatever the area in my at that time that I put a priority on, whether it was relationships or the physical body or financial, career, spirituality, intellect. And like we would totally understand that, say, if Arnold Schwarzenegger was working out, that we wouldn't get buff because he was working out, or your favorite fitness person, if they're doing diet and exercise and eating right, we wouldn't expect that knowledge to just be like, oh, now I'm going to be ripped because so and so is doing it. I noticed that I didn't have that expectation when it came to like a spiritual teacher or somebody that was great with finances or great with their business. And probably you're the same way as well, where you expect somebody to give you the knowledge and then you're like, great, now my business is going to be triple tomorrow. Or all of a sudden you're going to be really great in relationships, or whether it's difficult for you to get one, do a lot of dating coaching with the attractive man. And it's like, oh, here's the knowledge. And then they're like, oh, I watched Ike do this, or they watched one of the other instructors do something, and then they go, "Oh yeah, I should be able to get girls now all of a sudden," or I should be able to. I went to one of Ike's talks, and I should be able to. My bank account should be triple now, or my business should explode. We wouldn't expect Arnold Schwarzenegger to do push-ups and us to get buff. So why would we ever expect somebody to give us knowledge and then all of a sudden our whole entire lives like magic wandly change? That's not even what the teacher, like a great teacher's expectation of their students is. Sure, when I first started, I was like, oh man, some of my students don't do a great job. And that was like, maybe I'm a bad teacher. And I'm not saying that means I'm not a bad teacher or that I'm not a bad teacher, but it has nothing to do with the teacher. It's always has something to do with the student. I coined the term guru, but you with a capital U, like gur and then you. You're your own guru. There's nobody in the history of life that's just going to be like, here's my knowledge and touch you and then you have it. Nobody. It's not happening. It's a fantasy world if you think that's going to happen. No man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep and dawning in your knowledge. When somebody says something, when I say something to you, or you study, you're online watching videos, or you're looking through a book, say, I'm reading this, the parts that resonate with me, the parts that will resonate with you, you already know somewhere in your being that this is either true or very, very, very close to what's true. For you, there's no truth on the planet. There's few universal laws, very few. Outside of those, nothing else is true. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be true for you. We all live in our own literal worlds. There's 8 billion of us plus whatever the hell there else is, and all the animals and all the plants and insects and all that. And what if there's anything else everywhere else, which there probably is just from a mathematical standpoint. And nothing that anybody ever says or does you will agree or disagree with, except for when you already know or disagree or don't know already in the deepest recesses of you. Often it's unconscious, but sometimes it's conscious. Like somebody says something like, "Oh yeah, I totally believe that," and then you know already, like, "Oh yeah, I already believe that to be true." I already went on a diatribe on the San Marcos location. Jill, you didn't eat there, so we closed it. I'm sorry, Jill. So, not gonna happen. RIP. Eat there more. If you send me a $100,000 gift card or a $100,000 wire, I'll reopen the store. You can have a $100,000 gift card to Ike's, only usable at the San Marcos location, and we have a freaking deal. You didn't eat there, Jill. I'm sorry you didn't. I love you, but you didn't eat there. If you did, we wouldn't have closed. I have proof that you didn't eat there. Worst Ike's in the history of Ike's. Anyways, sorry, Jill. I love you. Go to one of the other Austin ones. You got 6 within 30 minutes. Rewatch the video and you'll know. The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers, he gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and his lovingness. This is why I say your well-being is your greatest contribution to humanity. If you're moving around life and you're grounded in life, it encourages other people to do the same. If you're out there and you allow others to be exactly where they are, they're going to start allowing others to be exactly where they are. If you're there and you're firm in your love or your faith and your commitment to your goals, yourself, it helps make it easier for everybody else to do the same exact thing for themselves and whatever it is that they find important, even if it's totally different than what you find important. That's all a great teacher ever does. In fact, be weary of somebody saying, you need to do it exactly like this, and you need me to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to see results. Those are all fake teachers, and they're just trying to make money off of you. The universe, it reveals itself to each of us through our own senses. We all have, there's 8 billion different worlds right now. Because of this, none of us will nor can we actually possibly relate to each other on any subject, even when it appears that we're relating. Oh, I agree with you. How do you know? We will never know if we actually agree. My perception is I agree, and your perception is that we agree. But we can't ever actually relate to each other. It's not possible. Not on anything, not on any subject. And actually, beyond the extent that we relate with ourselves or relate things to ourselves, that's the only way we're ever going to connect. And even in that, at NLP Marin, they say uh, words communication is a tertiary experience of the world. And I'll explain. So that means the third level. How it works is, say the teacher says something to you. You have a feeling. I have a feeling. I attempt to articulate those feelings into words. I communicate those words. So now that's the second. So first you said something, I turned it into a feeling, one level. I reflect it back out to the world, you, someone else, like I'm doing right now. That's the second interpretation of things. And then it's going to go through your ears, your feelings, and that's now its third. So this it's like watered down 3 times, triple distilled like a spirit. In this sense, we're talking about literal spirit of thought, literal spirit of feeling, literal spirit of emotion and words. And whenever there's a teacher, and then there's um, 3 levels in between. Like even what I'm saying right now, you're interpreting it and having a feeling, and it might not even have anything to do with the feeling that I have inside of me. And this is how sometimes you can agree with someone else, and sometimes you disagree with somebody else. It's only based on a tertiary response. Even right now, if you're responding to this, you have no freaking clue what I meant. You have no freaking clue what Khalil meant. And I have no clue what you mean, because even when you respond back to me, now we're on level 4, and I've got to go inside my body and notice how I feel and notice where my thoughts are. And then I'm going to communicate. Now we're at 5 levels. Now we're definitely a fine distilled spirit. 5 distilled, quintuple distilled. No one agrees or disagrees ever. No one ever learns. No one ever changes their mind, but with what they already know to be true through your virtual filter of the universe, whatever it is that makes you you. You made all your decisions basically, Freud says by 12. Some other people say, the Neo-Reichians say by 3. You have 80% of yourself programmed. So even right now, if you're responding or you're listening to this, you're a freaking 3-year-old right now responding to this. And at best, you're a 12-year-old responding to this. And unless you're actually 12, keep in mind that you're literally being a 12-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. And there's nothing wrong with that. We just never going to agree or disagree because it's not what we're doing. You're only going to be or change your mind or quote, learn anything to the exact degree that you are willing to already know this about yourself. Like if it wasn't already there, you're not going to change. You may have experiences that change your beliefs about things or thoughts. But outside of that, nobody's ever going to say anything. Just so it's not relevant if I'm right. It's not relevant if you're right. It's not relevant if I'm wrong. It's not relevant if you're wrong. In fact, rightness and wrongness have nothing to do with anything. You could be dead freaking wrong, but believe it to be true. And guess what? You'll find so much evidence that it's true. And just like somebody that has the exact opposite opinion of you can do the same and find that evidence to be true too. Only each of us have the answers for ourselves. No one can answer, explore, stretch anything for anyone else. We understand this when it comes to working out, right? And dieting, Arnold Schwarzenegger's not going to go out there and we're going to get the results. But routinely, we are blind to it when it comes to learning, when it comes to teaching, when it comes to things outside. But we don't expect to get yoked. If he is indeed wise, the teacher, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom. There's no wisdom to come into, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. You need to be inspired from within yourself to grow, to be different. When people come up to me and they tell me, "Oh, your post inspire me," or watching you work inspires me. I did not inspire anybody. Period. No one's ever inspired anybody. They just lit whatever was already inside of you. Spoiler alert, you haven't inspired anybody ever. They might use you as a mirror for their own inspiration, which is your greatest contribution to humanity. But we can't ever inspire or not inspire people. And a great example is, okay, so how many people come up and tell me that I inspire them? A lot. Not like millions, but a lot. Then wouldn't that stand to reason then if whatever one person come up to me today and said I inspired them, whether it's with this talk right now or from something I did before or from just being at the store and watching me work like I was working last night, wouldn't it stand then all like 1,000 people that came to Ike's yesterday should have been inspired too? Well, now you even don't think that that's reasonable to expect. Well, then that's because we didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. You need to be inspired from within. And often we might use other people as a mirror for that inspiration. It's usually because we're too humble to exude our greatness already. And so it's easy to see greatness in whoever it is that you want to emulate, whoever your heroes are, more so than it is to just be like, oh, yeah, I'm the guru, like guru you. That's why I write all those crazy things on my Instagram page. I'm those things. Tell me I'm not, and I'll give you evidence that I am. How the world is and its mysteries of the universe, of the earth, even though we are in the universe, in the world, and we are part of it, we still have to figure it all ourselves. You are your guru. Sic transit gloria. Your greatest contribution, especially your greatest contribution to humanity, is your well being. And there's no exceptions ever. Catch you on the next episode.